What's up, battlers? Welcome back to my second Pokemon Go PvP video. I want to thank the 9 subscribers who subscribed to my channel so far. I'm really happy that you guys are joining me, and I'm hoping that these videos help you prepare for your cups. And let's talk about the Sinister Cup. So after my first video, I had a really cool strategy that I thought was really awesome, and then Niantic came in and was like, nope, and they just nerfed Power Up Punch like crazy. And I don't know if this strategy is going to work anymore, but I'm not giving up hope yet. I want to still try this out. It still may be possible to pull out some wins with it. However, I'm learning from doing a lot of practice battles with this cup that a lot of it is shield dependent, and you know, if you use the wrong shield one time, it could, you know, totally change the matchup, and if you use a shield properly, it could totally swing the matchup in your favor. And I think there's just a lot of different variables that can happen. And one of the things I want to try with this video is I want to try something that I don't think I've seen people do before on their channels. I'm going to call it the Multiverse Matchup. And so what that is going to be is, for one of the matchups where I really feel like I could have done something differently, I'm going to reach out to that person to see if we could redo the match. And I'm going to do the rematch with, and then doing the attack that I wanted to do. And I'm going to play those matchups side by side so that you can see the different outcomes that happen with each matchup. Now, this particular one, my first one, it didn't really play out to my favor, but it'll be cool to watch just to kind of see how differently the match can go with just one small change. So let's just get into it. There is a best of 3 that I do, like a full best of 3 with Gemma Banks where we both share our teams. And the last one is the one that I'll focus more on too in terms of mistakes that I made. These first battles that I'm going to show you really don't have much to do with anything. They're just little things I want to show you. But the main topic of this video is Medicham and whether it is still viable to use for Sinister Cup. And so, enough talking, let's just get into the first battle. This one is just going to be an example of Drifblim versus Gardevoir. So I'm going to hit play here, and we're going to see what happens. And this is something, I think post-update it might have been changed, but Gardevoir with Charm is now very meta relevant, and if you watch this first battle here, Drifblim is getting absolutely melted by Charm. Even though Drifblim is neutral to Fairy, Charm is just doing a lot of damage, and the only way, and I'm putting some notes here on the right side of your screen, sorry. The only way you can beat Gardevoir with Drifblim is if Gardevoir's shields are down. There's really no other way to win. I know Battle Hero, Vange was just talking about this in his video he just uploaded, but I do think the Sims are right. I do think Drifblim cannot beat Gardevoir unless the shields are down. That's the only way to win. Now, this next one here, we have Steelix against Drifblim, but this is not the particular matchup I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on what happens when we go with this one. So if you ever run into Poliwrath and you have Steelix, and especially if you have Energy Charge, just always go for Earthquake. Poliwrath is neutral to ground, and so Earthquake does a ton of damage. If you ever get stuck with Steelix versus Poliwrath, your best chance to win is just to throw Earthquakes at it, because it does a ton of damage. So that's the second key matchup I want to show you. Now this third matchup here, not this one, not the Lucario versus Drifblim, but when he switches into Toxicroak, he's going to knock out my Lucario, and then I'm going to put in Haunter. Now I only have Shadow Ball on this Haunter, so I don't have 2 attacks on it yet, but just notice how much damage Mud Bomb does to Haunter right here. So I'm going to do the Shadow Ball again, he's going to shield. And then I'm going to just choose not to shield just to see how much damage Mud Bomb does. I didn't think it was going to do like that much. I knew it's weak, but still, it knocked me out completely. So if you have Haunter, it's a very glassy. Just be careful with Haunter. Toxicroak, which I don't see many teams using Toxicroak right now, but it can knock you out with 1 Mud Bomb. Okay, so this next matchup here, I have in my notes. That should have been round 1, so this should be round 2. The thing I want you to notice in this battle is how much damage Psychic does to Poliwrath. So with Medicham, I'm pretty sure you don't want to have Ice Punch anymore. I think it's pretty agreed upon that you need Psychic on Medicham. And then Powered Up Punch, Counter, or Dynamic Punch is kind of still up for debate. I don't know, I think a lot of people still like Power Up Punch. But anyways, now that you have Psychic, though, on your Medicham, it's going to be much stronger versus Poliwrath. So you're going to see here, he goes down. This is just a Drifblim versus Marowak. Again, remember from the last video, this is one of those interesting battles that can go any way, depending on how you shield. If you get baited, you're kind of screwed. If you properly shield, you should be able to beat Marowak. And if, especially if you get a buff. So okay, here we go. Watch this Psychic. This was an unpowered up Psychic, almost knocked out the Poliwrath. So that's what I wanted you to really take note of in that particular battle. And then this last matchup, if you have counter, it's farmable. I'm going to talk about farming. You've got to be really careful to farm now with Medicham, because if you kill a Bastiodon or Steelix too soon, you might miss out on some power-ups that could come in handy later in the match when you want to throw a Psychic against something. So definitely note that, okay? When you're farming, be very careful. You can't, it's not as easily as it used to be now that power-up punch is no longer as powerful. So, okay, so this third, I'm going to pause right here and go back real quick. So this third matchup is against Banks, and now he did give me his team. Okay, so Jim's team is, he's running Claydol, Poliwrath, and Steelix just like I am. However, he's also running Cresselia, and he's also running Marowak, I believe. And yeah, and Mawile. Sorry, I didn't have the screen up when I was looking at it. Okay, so this particular best of 3, I was really going for, I was pretending it was like an actual Sinister Cup. I know that I played him before, and I ran that triple fighter lineup, and so I have a feeling he's going to want to run Cresselia almost every match, and so I'm kind of prepared for that. And also, the last time we battled, I used my 3 triple fighter lineup at the last match. So here I'm going to run it first, because I want to kind of throw him off, and then hopefully, you know, if he does beat me, hopefully it'll kind of condition him to want to use Cresselia for the next 2 matches. And then what I'm going to do is run the counters to Cresselia on those 2 teams and hopefully win the last 2 matches. So that was my strategy going into this best of 3. And so let's see how we do. I run Poliwrath, Lucario, and Medicham here. And let's just see how the first match goes. So I lead with Poliwrath and he leads with Marowak. And this is a pretty good matchup because, you know, Water's effective against Marowak. So he switches out to Cresselia. I'm going to throw up a power-up punch to kind of just boost him up a little bit, and then I swap him out to kind of save him for Marowak. Lucario, I'm just trying to get to a Shadow Ball because that'll do super effective damage. However, I decided to get a little... Oh no, this one I decided to throw the Shadow Ball because I want to burn his shield. If you throw Shadow Ball, you're either going to do a lot of damage or burn his shield. So that's what I went for. Here, I just went for the power-up punch because I really didn't have any energy left. And so now I come in with Poliwrath, and then I go with the Ice Punch. Well, I try to, but he gets his attack off first, so I shield it. And then I throw in an Ice Punch. That's going to do way more damage than Power Up Punch at this point. And my number 1 goal here is to just knock out his Cresselia, but because he's so powerful against my lineup. And so I knock him out here, and then Mawile, I believe, is neutral to fighting. Yeah, neutral to water and fighting, and so not the worst matchup to be in. But I was low on energy, so he takes me out. So now I come back in with Medicham. Here, probably should have used Psychic. And that's the mistake that we're going to talk about because I do it again. I believe if you run into Marowak, just always throw Psychic because that's your only hope to beat it. Because it's double resistant to fighting. It's going to throw Shadow Ball at you and knock you out. You just want... So you see there that Psychic did a ton of damage. That was a powered up Psychic. So if you can get like a double or triple powered up Psychic, you could swing that matchup in your favor. And so that's what I want to test out more. With Medicham, okay, because I'm not giving up on him yet. I dumped so much Stardust into that thing, and I just kind of want to keep practicing with it to see if I can get good with it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to bench it. But anyways, we lose that matchup, so now I'm expecting him to bring Cresselia for the next 2 matches because he saw success with it. And so now I'm running a different lineup. I missed it when I was on screen, but you'll see it there. So now I'm leading with Lucario versus Poliwrath. So I switch... I was trying to switch, and then I decided just to throw a power-up punch first. And then he switches to Cresselia, so now I'm actually in a good spot. Here I decided to get a little cagey. I decided to try to bait him. And again, this is a game of Shield, Sinister Cup, and he falls for the bait, which was huge. And then I swap out to Steelix, which is a better counter for this guy. And I decided to just keep going for the crunches. But now that he wasted his shield, I'm liking where my position is right now. But again, if he hadn't fallen for that bait, he probably would have won this match. So let's just see how this plays out. I shield his Aurora Beam. I get another crunch off because I really need to get that Cresselia out of here so that I can hopefully win the match, even though I just said I did. Anyways, okay, Steelix versus Poliwrath. What do? Steelix versus Poliwrath? You throw Earthquake. Always just throw Earthquake. That's just I'm just going to try to get into that habit of always throwing Earthquake against Poliwrath, just so that it's less thinking and I can just kind of have better outcomes without trying too hard. That's why you practice, to kind of get that muscle memory going. Okay, so now I throw a power-up punch because I'm almost dead and I need to get something. And here, he actually knocks me out, but that actually worked to my favor because my Drifloon now was able to get one quick attack off, which actually made the difference here. So I'm able to get the Ominous Wind. Having that extra quick move advantage really helped me. I was able to get that charge move off, and we take game 2. Alright, so game 3, I decide to run the same lineup, but then I decide to switch back. I was going to lead with Drifloon this time, but I decided to just... I had a good run with that one, so I'm going to lead Lucario. He leads to Cresselia. So now, do I go for the bait or do I go for Shadow Ball? This is what you have to think about when you're in this matchup. And if you're in Cresselia's situation, it really depends on if you're right or not. Okay, it's a guessing game. He decides to not go for the bait, but unfortunately for him, I do throw Shadow Ball and almost take it out in one hit. Then I come in with Drifblim after he knocks me out, and we just take out Cresselia really quickly. Now I got Drifblim with energy, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep throwing up these Ominous Winds to try to get a buff. It'd be nice if I could get one, because that'll really put a huge advantage. So here we go, charging up a move here. We go with Ominous Wind again. It doesn't do a lot of damage to Poliwrath, so I'm just trying to get a buff at this point and just spam charge moves. Ice, I am weak to Ice, so I do shield that one. And now that I have energy advantage, I can get a charge move off right away, throw it at Marowak. He decides to not shield, which was very ballsy on his part, because had I thrown Shadow Ball, I would have knocked him out. He does shield there correctly, so that was good. He ends up taking me down. But I have a Steelix, so I'm looking pretty good here. Shadow Ball against a full health Steelix isn't going to do too much damage. And at this point, I believe... yeah, he only has enough energy for Bone Club, and I'm able to... I don't think he has Shadow Ball here. Yeah, he only has enough energy for Bone Club. So I decided to farm him because I knew I had enough health to farm him, and then I have enough energy for an Earthquake. So that was a very, very close match. I'm gonna pause it here. So just to kind of recap how I won that match. That was a very close one. I think my PvP IVs might have saved me on that Steelix. I do have like a 19 rank Steelix, and when I saw that the Bone Club didn't knock me out, I was like, okay, I can farm it with Dragon Tail because I can outlast him. Because I was trying to go for a charge move. But then when I saw him go down, I just was like, okay, I'm just going to use an Earthquake on whatever comes back out. It was Poliwrath, and then, yeah, just throw Earthquake, and that was a close one. So, that, that could have gone either way depending on how, again, in the beginning, he tried to go for the bait, like he's thinking I was going to bait him, but I didn't. So that actually worked out. Had he shielded that, he might have won. So, again, that's why this cup... it's just like poker. Good players are going to win most often, but you still are going to need some luck to win, and I do think that's going to play here a lot with Sinister Cup. You're going to need some luck to pull these victories out. Okay, the last matchup, we're going to try... I'm going to lead with Medicham every single time because I'm trying strategies with Medicham as a lead, and let's just see how we do here. So I'm leading with one of the lineups I used in the last video. Let's just play here, and... we're going against W. Whitfield, a guy I play with in my Go Stadium Discord, so shout out to him. Also shout out to my friend Shake, who was in the first matchup. He's someone I play with locally, who just got into PvP like halfway through Season 1, and he's really good now, so he's learning quickly. Okay, so you saw the lead there. I decided to switch into Drifblim, and he's got Bastiodon. Not much I can do here against Bastiodon. What I probably should have done here was just gone for the... well, I did just go for the Ominous Winds, but I should have tried to not do as much damage so that I could have farmed it more. I didn't leave it with enough health for me to farm properly, and that was, I think, one of my mistakes here. So you see I killed it. It would have been nice to build up enough energy for like a double power-up punch, because it might have helped me, or I could have done a power-up punch and then like a sidekick right away and really done damage to this Gardevoir. So let's see what happens here. Gardevoir, you can see, is melting me. I kind of freak out. I miss a lot of bubbles, so had I hit all those bubbles, I think I would have knocked out the Gardevoir. But here, he's got a Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu just got Thunder Shock, and I don't think I can beat him anymore. It's just too spammy. I'm at a shield disadvantage, and there's just no way we can take this. Alolan Raichu is just too powerful now with that Thunder Shock, I think. And he's got Grass Knot, which I'm weak to, so yeah, I think keep an eye out for Alolan Raichu. I do think a lot more people are going to be trying that for this cup, just because of how much more spammy it is now. And so he takes game 1. Game 2, I tried to lead with Medicham again, just because I want to get into a Medicham Drifblim matchup, because I was trying to test something out, like what's the best strategy to do. But I don't run into that. I instead run into Steelix, which is good, because I can farm it. But again, I make a mistake. I think I threw my power-up punch too soon. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept farming it. Because then I could have maybe done a power-up punch and a Psychic. And I think that's really how you're going to pull off these victories with Medicham. Power-up punch is so weak now, you need to kind of use it in conjunction with Psychic to have a chance of doing a lot of damage. And I think that's what I'm going to focus on going forward, is really using those charge moves in a better order, instead of just throwing power-up punch right away. So here we got Steelix versus Claydol. This matchup can go either way depending on shields and energy, so I do believe in a head-to-head matchup with double shields, I think maybe Claydol wins, but I'm not sure. But it's really close, you can see. You know, it's never a cut and dry when you're battling like out in the field, because anything can happen, and lots of variables. So here I throw Crunch because it's super effective against Drifblim, but he takes me out. So now I go with Poliwrath because you want to throw Ice Punch against this guy. And I probably shouldn't have shielded there, because Ominous Wind doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But here I did predict that he was throwing Ominous Wind again. Again, he could have threw Shadow Ball that first time, so you know, you never know. But here I thought I could just feint it down and farm, so I went for the Power-Up Punch instead. And then here I go for the Power-Up Punch again against Steelix, because that's definitely what you want to throw. And you should be able to farm this one down and just knock it down with Bubbles. But he hits me with Earthquake because I'm out of shields. So I have to throw Power-Up Punch. That's my only option here to do. And we take it down. So we take game 2. So that was a pretty good result. Now, this third matchup, I make a very stupid mistake in the beginning. And you're going to see it right now. So I'm leading with Medicham versus Marowak. The mistake I made was I throw Power-Up Punch. Shouldn't have done that. Marowak's double resistant to fighting. My plan was to power him up and get out of there and maybe save it for something else. But I think you most often just want to throw Psychic against Marowak, because if you leave it with too much health, Marowak is just too powerful. It's just, I don't think it's going to really help you that much, depending on, unless you get lucky and they bring like 2 steel types. I don't know. But anyways, here I get lucky. He decides not to shield, and I take it out in one hit. But he's got Marowak now, which can, at this point, knock me out with almost anything, because I have very low health. He decides to go for Bone Club. I decide to shield because I want to get another Crunch off. He blocks it, though, so that kind of sucks for me. And I think here I probably should have shielded, because I maybe could have gotten to another Crunch. I do think I could have gotten to another Crunch there, so that was another mistake I made. And then another mistake here, I go with Power-Up Punch again. That was stupid. I should have just went with Psychic, because he didn't shield. I would have taken more than half of its health had I done that. But I'm able to finish it off with Shadow Ball. However, Marowak comes in. He just has too much health for me. I can't take him out with Lucario. And then my Medicham, I shield, and he baits me. So then, that's another mistake I made. Game of shields, right? So, at this point, I don't think I can get to Psychic fast enough. So I throw this, which is pretty much useless. He gets the last charge move off, and he takes the game. Now, let's go into the Multiverse Matchup. So what we're going to do is we're going to replay that matchup, except I want to see what would happen had I thrown a Psychic in that very first match against Marowak instead of a Power-Up Punch. So, here we go. I'm going to put the third game back up on the screen here, and then we're going to split the screen, and you're going to see on the right, I'm going to throw Psychic. On the left, I'm going to throw is the original match that you just watched. Let's see how the match changes when I go with Psychic. You can see Marowak has a lot less damage. So I do the same switch, and I had him do the same 2 Bone Clubs at the end. But here, he makes a very wise decision. You'll see when Empoleon comes in. Okay, so he does the Bone Club. He goes into Empoleon. I go for the Earthquake. The first time I got lucky, he didn't shield, but he learned from his mistake. The second time, and I told him to play however he wanted after this point. So he shields Empoleon, And now I'm in a much worse situation because here I should have farmed. You see how much damage Lucario is doing to Empoleon? You have to farm against those steel types, and you have to farm them well. Okay, you can't just knock them out right away. I should have just farmed with counters because my Lucario on the right, I could have used a Shadow Ball right away on Gardevoir. Maybe could have changed the match, but instead, look at how Charm just takes my team. If you look on the right matchup here, well, you already saw the left one, but if you look at the right matchup, Charm, I have 2 shields and I still lost. So definitely made a mistake there by not farming up that Empoleon. I still don't know, because he brought Empoleon and Gardevoir, I really think I would have lost anyways, but had I farmed Empoleon better, you know, I think we could have gotten rid of Gardevoir quicker, maybe would have had a chance to win. But yeah, you gotta farm. That's one of the key lessons here. Now, yeah, so you gotta farm and do it well. Okay, so let's just kind of sum up here. Is Medicham still viable for Sinister Cup? In my opinion, I don't quite know yet. I still want to try. I think I need to get better with it to really know whether I can win with this in my team of 6. I also think I might put Marowak on my team because Marowak is so strong. It has Fire Spin now, which a lot of people are saying is the better quick move. And so a Fire Spin Marowak in a Medicham might be a very good duo to test out. And so I'm not giving up on Medicham yet. You can see here I didn't do very well. I did beat Gemma Banks in our best of 3. Against Whitfield, I did lose, you know, 2 out of 3. But I definitely made some mistakes there with Medicham that I think I could have done better with. Now, the pros are it's a stronger counter versus Poliwrath and Haunter because you can use Psychic instead of like Power Up Punch and Ice Punch. Psychic move still does a lot of damage to Pokemon who resist Psychic attacks, so you saw how much damage it does to Gardevoir. And it also does a lot of damage to Marowak, and if you can get a powered up Psychic against a Marowak, you can do even more damage and hopefully swing the match in your favor. And then, however, because Power Up Punch is severely nerfed, you definitely need to get good with farming to utilize Medicham to its full potential. If you farm incorrectly and you knock out the Steel type too quickly, you could end up losing the matchup or the whole round. You know, so you gotta be very smart with Medicham. I think nerfing Power Up Punch by Niantic, it made it so you really have to know what you're doing now. And then it's still a good counter to the Steel types, as you know, because if you're running counter, it's definitely still a good counter for Steelix, Bastiodon, and all those, and Empoleon, etc. Now, the next thing I want to try, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I'm just going to wrap up by saying I still am going to do some testing, so this is kind of like a part 1 video. I'm going to keep practicing with Medicham, see if I can get better with it, and hopefully you guys can get better with it too. And I might try running Psycho Cut because it charges its charge moves faster, and so I might try testing that out too, just to see how it changes the matchups. It won't be as good against the Steel types, but yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking it might not be overall better in the total meta, but it'll just be fun to try it anyways. And so thank you guys. Sorry this was a longer video, but if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And comment below what you think of Medicham overall. I'd be happy to talk to you guys, and I would love to get your input. So thanks guys so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.